Welcome to our mini lecture today on economic systems. And what we're going to look at here in our mini lecture is how the government influences how you can make money and how the government influences the economic system of their respective countries. Now, first off, we have to actually look at what an economic system is. So, in general, what's in your textbook, it says that the economic system is a method used by a society to produce and distribute goods and services. However, to break it down a little bit, this is simply how the government can tell us what we can get and how we can get it. Okay. Now, there are four questions that all economic systems, from the United States to the European Union to even North Korea, must answer. And these are: one, what goods and services does the country want to produce, or the economy want to produce? Two, how will the economy produce them? Three, how will the economy get them? And four, how much will they produce and how much later? So what are you going to produce now, and what are you eventually going to produce? Every country in the world makes this decision in a different way, and it all really depends upon the government. Now let's take a look at the four basic types of economic systems. The four of them are traditional, command, free market, and a mixed economy. So in a traditional economy, we see that you have an economy that is based on the habits and the customs that the people are used to. What has been passed down from generation to generation. In these types of economies, you see people who say, we've always done it this way. This is tradition. Now, we in America may look at this and say, okay, that's more of like what I'm used to, what we do as a family, or what churches do. This is the way I've always done it. Yes, that is a traditional economy. Okay? Children in these societies work in the same jobs that their parents had. So if their mother was a weaver, then they would be a weaver. If their father was a hunter, they were a hunter. Right? You did these things. If their father was a chemist, you were a chemist. All right, these were things that were passed down. These people don't like change. These societies are more conservative. Okay, you've got people like if you've ever seen the Alaskan Bush people. My parents love that TV show. That is what type of economy this is right here. The people who have always what you've always done. You've heard of the Amish. This is a traditional economy as well. A command economy is where the government answers basic economic questions. The government makes those decisions. So this is an example like China, the former Soviet Union, Cuba. The advantage is whenever you have an emergency, you're able to provide for all people quickly. And the biggest thing that comes to my mind where we're located is we're in the southeastern part of the United States. And a country that is communist as closest to us is 90 miles from Key West, and that would be Cuba. Whenever there is a hurricane that goes throughout the Caribbean area, we always see that we don't hear much about what happens with Cuba, but yet it's very interesting how supplies are quickly deviated. That's because that is in a command economy. The government has it set up and they act quickly in emergency. The disadvantage, though, is they are very inefficient. There is no incentive to work hard or to be creative. People do those same jobs. They're paid pennies on the dollar. Okay? So in a command economy, we see that the government answers a basic economic question. In a free market, we see economic questions are answered by the individual buyers and the sellers, the people who own the businesses. This is a free enterprise capitalism, mainly what we see here in the United States and over in Europe. Okay. Supply and demand influence the economy. We're going to get to supply and demand later on in this class in some more of the mini lectures. But in here, people act out of what interests them, what motivates them, what is a profit for money. So with supply and demand, that's free market. You see in this situation here where if there's a high demand for gas, the price is going to increase. If it is a low demand for gas, price is going to decrease. So you're going to see differences with product prices and stuff. So this is what you would know as price waging and gouging. And also you would see, like, during the time, the onset of the coronavirus, many people wanted toilet paper. So the demand for toilet paper was high, meaning the supply of it was very low. Now, a mixed economy is the fourth type of economic system, and this is where there's no pure market, pure command, or pure traditional. Elements appear in all economies. So you've got that. This was where, and it seems like each society is not one. It's not. Each society would not basically have a traditional command free market or a mix. You're going to have a little bit of all of these within your economic region. So in your command economies, it's strictly command, but you're going to have in more of the free world a mixed economy. America has a free market economy, and there are 6 features to the United States' free market economy. 1, we have economic freedom. You can choose if you want to run a business. You can choose what you want to buy. You can choose what you want to spend your money on. Secondly, we have competition. There's more than one producer of goods and services. We think of computer companies such as Microsoft and Apple in these type of situations here. Whereas competition, you don't have a state-run competition, or a state-run production of these technologies. You have private property where individuals own their own property. They can own their business. They can choose to start a business. They can do what they would like to. You also have self-interest, where individuals can make their own decisions based on what's best for them. What may be good for one person might not necessarily be good for another person. You have voluntary exchange, where people can freely buy and sell goods. One of the things that we have, you've got things such as Facebook Marketplace, or one of my favorite things is how they have neighborhood markets, where my father recently, who is an older gentleman, decided he wanted to buy a four-wheeler and restore it. I thought he was crazy, but he has taken the thing, bought it for $150, and has put $50 into it, and has turned around and can sell it for a profit, right, to be able to get it. That's voluntary exchange. We can do that in our economy. And then you have profit motive, where you have individuals are driven by desire to profit. They want to make money. All right, people want to get money. If you want something, you're going to figure out a way to make that money. The features of a command economy that we have here is that government regulates business practices. Okay? The government can limit certain choices, and the government provides aid to the needy. So regulation of business practices, this is wages, like minimum wage, labor hours. This took place during if you're in United States history, you study about the populist movement. This is where labor hours were taking place, where you limited to 40 hours a week. You have safety regulations within the workplace. That's not all around the world. You also have government limits to certain choices. You cannot buy or produce certain goods and services without you have to have permission to be able to do some of those things, and then you've also got where it comes into the legal factor, right? And then we have Medicare, Medicaid, and welfare. Those are for people who don't necessarily have a job, but also people who are retired and could be able to get those services. Now, we're going to look at a scenario here real quick of a pizzeria. And I had actually put this picture of a pizzeria up here, this Lego pizzeria. I had one of these Lego sets when I was a kid, and I thought it was really cool. And that's one of the first things I thought of with the pizzeria. So we're going to look at it under a free market, a command, and a mixed economy. So in a free market, if you own the pizzeria, you answer the economic questions. You determine how much cheese and pepperoni goes on a pizza. You determine the quality of the cheese and pepperoni, which means you can buy it however you want to. If you want to buy a nice expensive Sargento, or you can buy the cheap generic brand. All right, you can set your employees' wages, and you set your business hours. In a command economy, the government answers the economic questions. They set the amount of cheese and pepperoni on each pizza. They determine the quality of cheese and pepperoni, so they're the ones who are purchasing for you and providing it for you. They're the ones who set the employee wages, and they set the business hours. But the biggest question here, what does the government really know about pizza? And this is actually a good point. When I used to teach United States history, my students, when we would get to the Constitution, we'd watch a video on the Constitution from the Supreme Court stance. Justice Sandra Day O'Connor and Justice Stephen Breyer of the Supreme Court would answer questions with a bunch of high school students. Justice Breyer is on the more liberal stance, and Justice O'Connor was on the more conservative stance. In this video, we actually would see where Justice Breyer would say that he liked big government, he liked government to be in charge. He said, but Justice O'Connor did not feel that way, and she responded to the video and said, no, I don't. Justice O'Connor actually grew up on a ranch out in Arizona, and her big thing that she would talk about was how her family did not like it when the government and county representatives and the national representatives in Washington would come in and tell them how to raise their cattle, what to be able to do, how to control their ranch. And she said, they don't know how we farm. They don't know what to do on an everyday basis. Someone coming telling us who does not know what to do, coming in and telling us how to run our farm, is not good. That's why she said the local knows best. And that's the thing here. With the command economy, people, I don't know, let's say in Cuba, in Havana, Cuba, are not going to know how to run a pizzeria. Okay? The local businessman knows how to run a pizzeria. This would be like, let's say that, because I'm a school teacher, and let's say that I'm appointed to a position in the state government, that would be like me being appointed as the commissioner on agriculture because my great-grandfather was a farmer. I don't know anything much about agriculture. Okay, so that would make no sense. I would be better suited to be the head of education because I'm a teacher. And finally, a mixed economy. The government and the owner both answer basic economic question. You determine the amount of cheese and pepperoni on the pizzas while the government determines the quality of the cheese and the pizza. You set the employee wages while the government sets minimum wage for the employees. Okay, and we do have a minimum wage where it's set. Okay. You determine the business hours and the government determines whether you're safe to be open or not. And that would be like in a case of a natural disaster or if you actually with the restaurant grades. Okay? And that is a look at our economic systems of a traditional, a command, a free market, and a mixed economy.